Hey guys, it's Oluvids and welcome to part 2 of my review series of The World Ends With You, the animation. Last time we saw the beginning of the Reaper's game, as well as the beginning of Neku's development towards trusting his partner. Currently it's day 4 and they don't seem to have a mission yet. Neku actually asks a pretty good question while they wait. He asks if anything will change if they survive the Reaper's game. Shiki says she doesn't know, but she's not gonna give up. Also, I just want to point out that Neku has a cat wallpaper on his phone. I wonder if he could possibly be a fan of his. Anyway, this is where we actually see the intro of the show for the first time. And, well, looks like we got Twister version 358x2. Okay, in all seriousness, it seems to be a new Twister that has the same voices as the gang mix in the first game. Originally, though, that wasn't actually the song that was supposed to be on there. It was gonna have a song called Teenage City Riot made by the band called Ali. Unfortunately, the drummer just had to go get caught up in some scamming and they pretty much ended up canceling the song. Rest in peace, TCR. This is all the drummer's fault. After the opening is done, we cut over to Shiki and Neku chilling out in the famous green frog train, which I gotta say I really like this little addition here. Right as Neku begins to rant about how everyone in the city is a self-absorbed tryhards just screeching at each other. Yes, he actually said that. Beat and Rhyme joined them while informing the others that some of the walls that were up before are now gone. And of course, when someone mentions that the underground is pretty lonely since no one can see you, Neku has to come in and say that it's easier because not only does no one ever see him, but he can also scan people instead of actually talking to him. Well, that is if you ignore the fact that he's bound to Shiki, but yeah, she actually comes in and says that she believes it's better to talk things out, especially when you need to come to an understanding. Scanning is pretty useful, but it can be overwhelming, especially in a city like Shibuya. Lots of people's thoughts are going to be colliding all at once. Oh, and we also learn a couple of details about the other characters too. That little pig, that cat, is called Mr. Mew, and Shiki actually made that herself, along with the clothes she's wearing. She's actually good at sewing really good designs, and her dream is to become a fashion designer. Speaking of dreams, it seems that Rhyme doesn't really know what her dream is yet, but Beat seems to know his, which is to be the world's greatest skateboarder. Also, Square, on a totally unrelated note, can we get Beat's Pro Skater, please? Well, moving on, Shiki notices that Rhyme has a rare necklace, and she says that her brother got it for her. And then Beat seems to look a bit down for some reason. Then they notice that a bunch of people are headed over to 10-4, and while Beat decides to pass, Neku and Shiki head over to that area. Shiki goes to look at some clothes that are displayed in the store when she accidentally mentions the name Eri. Apparently they used to come there a lot. No time for that though. They suddenly hear a bunch of screaming outside. At first Neku thinks it's noise, but he's right. There's a lot of noise, but it's actually just coming from a bunch of fangirls that are looking at a guy called AGOG, who's voiced by Eric Vale, also known as the voice actor of Trunks. He's pretty much a guy that can make anything trendy as long as he F's it. On his blog called F Everything. F for fabulous, that is. Okay, so the anime actually didn't go that far into detail, but there was no way I was going to leave that detail from the game out. Alright, so shifting back over to Shiki and her friend Eri, when she mentions her dream again, Neku knows how hard she's trying to win the Reaper's game. You know, one thing we actually haven't been told yet is what happens when you win the Reaper's game. Maybe a prize or something. Neku theorizes that maybe your wish will come true if you win, but who knows at this point. Well, the mission finally comes in and it seems that they just gotta take care of some noise at Spain Hill and—
Why don't you back off?
Watch yourself!
Why don't you back off?
Watch yourself!
yes, they actually put the battle quotes in. So the scriptwriter for the dub, Jessica Sluys, is actually a fan of the original game. So she made sure they had a lot of dialogue from both the cutscenes and battle quotes from the source material. Obviously not all of them are going to make it in, but looking out for these kind of feels like an Easter egg hunt. And I gotta say, it's really fun. It definitely adds a lot more to the English dub of the anime. Oh, and not only should you thank her, but also thank script prep James Baker and the director Kyle Phillips. Anyway, back to the actual story. The pair are fighting the noise off with everything they got, but they seem to just keep on multiplying. Turns out they're feeding off the negative emotions of these two girls that are arguing about something. Shiki goes over to not only scan them, but to also imprint on them. Imprinting is another ability that the players have, which allows them to pop ideas into people's heads. So it turns out that the long-haired girl named Mina thinks that her friend Ai is trying to go out with the boy she likes named Makoto. Not Makoto. Makoto.
I can't believe she has the nerve to call me a liar when I know for a fact she's met up with Makoto behind my back.
Anyway, I also want to point out that the song they're playing actually kind of comes back in the sequel to The World Ends With You, called Neo The World Ends With You. This was originally an anime-only song, but it's cool that this ends up coming back in the game. Anyway, once Shiki makes them talk it out, it turns out that I and Makoto were planning a surprise for Mina. 2 tickets for her and Makoto to go to a 777 concert. Once they get rid of the noise and wrap the mission up, something strange happens. It looks like there's another Shiki walking around in the real ground, but instead she's being called Eri? Not only that, but Shiki really wanted to run away as soon as they spotted her. However, the day ends before Neku gets to ask what's going on. It's day 5 of the Reapers game, and their mission is to dominate the view in Scramble Crossing at 3 p.m. While Neku ponders on what this means, we hear Makoto talking to this guy that wants him to get everyone to look at the big queue front screen at 3 p.m. Well, I mean, now we know what the mission is, but for some reason Shiki seems kinda out of it today. Turns out it's because of Eri from yesterday. Apparently Eri's cute, smart, and popular, all the things that Shiki wishes she was, and it seems like she's pretty envious of her. And then surprisingly, Neku says that she's fine the way she is, and that seems to lift her spirits up. So anyway, how are these guys gonna dominate the view? Apparently most people don't really pay attention to that screen as they walk by, so they're gonna need a miracle to pull this off. Neku remembers what he saw yesterday, and he decides to try to get Agioji, the prince as he's also called, to promote their mission since all of his stands will eat up anything he recommends. Little do they know that he's also promoting something else too. Apparently he has to get everyone to wear these red pins that kinda look like the player pins. So this scene's actually pretty interesting because we never saw this in the game. Mostly because, well, this isn't even how it went. In the game, while Makoto tries to give out these pins, you have to run around and fight with them so that it turns into a trending brand. But instead, the prince is handling that. I wonder why those pins look similar though. Back over to Shiki and Neku, they were actually stuck on a wall for a bit, but luckily that pin 777 gave them came in handy. Seems like it was a key of some sort to open up some walls. And when they look over their pins, that's when Shiki notices that Neku's got 2 player pins for some reason. Oh well, it's probably some mistake by some Reaper. Anyway, just like he planned, Neku imprints on the prince, and he gets everyone to watch the screen at the right time. However, for some reason, all the people watching this seems to be in a weird trance-like state. And while they're watching, this snake noise symbol appears and starts destroying everything. The only reason Neku and Shiki were able to survive was because someone we couldn't fully see snapped their fingers and covered that whole area in light. Jeez, I guess the Reapers really are trying to erase all the players. Completing that mission just activated something that I don't think any of them could have taken on in a fight. Well, after Neku and Shiki reassure each other that they're both pretty cool and useful people, they overhear that Eri is thinking about giving up on the dream that her and Shiki had. Apparently, her and Shiki got into a fight, and she ended up saying that she isn't meant to be a designer. But it ended up sounding a lot worse than what she was trying to say, which was that she's better as a seamstress. She planned to apologize to her the next day, but apparently she can't anymore. And that's when Shiki says that she'll come back to life and help Eri fulfill her dream. Wait, what? Neku's kinda confused when she says that. But that's when she tells us what the Reapers game really is. It's an examination on who deserves a second chance at life. All of the players that we've seen, including Neku, are all dead. Not only that, but the Reapers took an entrance fee from each person. For Shiki, it was her appearance, and she ended up looking like her friend instead. The episode ends on Neku being stunned at the fact that he's already dead. Well, this episode was pretty cool. I'm glad that Neku and Shiki actually got to spend some kind of time together. Honestly, this is more of a Shiki episode though. We learn about her dreams and insecurities, alongside some of her past. To me at least, Shiki's voice actress did a really standout job in this episode. But let's not forget the actress who voiced Eri too. Ann Johnson did a great job with this part as well. It was a small role, but she brought in the emotional acting really well.
I'll never ever see her again. Yes, they may have been my designs, but Shiki was the one who made them all real. I'm right here. You and I still have the same dream.
Hearing the game battle quotes in this episode was also a huge plus too. The music was fine. Not every track really reached out to me, but I guess they did their job. Of course, Calling was great, but that one's from the game. The song that plays at the part with I and Mina was cool too, and the last one that stood out to me was the guitar song that was playing during the appearance of the snake noise symbol. As I said before, this episode was the first time the opening theme was played, and I will say it's a pretty good version of Twister. And the ending theme is actually pretty hype as well, and it features some art from an illustrator named Ilya Kovshinov. They actually have a pretty distinct art style, and we'll probably never see these guys looking this detailed in an official way ever again, or at least no time soon. And lastly, the pace and animations of this episode were fine. Only 2 days this time, so we were able to get more time in each one. This wasn't really an action-packed episode, but the characters were always on model, so that was good. Nothing really wowed me in terms of the movement though. Anyway, overall, pretty cool episode. I think I like it better than the first one story-wise. But yeah, that's my thoughts on episode 2, my review on episode 2 I should say. And if you guys enjoyed, I mean, definitely leave a like and subscribe if you're into TWEWY or just any Square Enix things. You know, of course, if you missed the first episode, you're probably going to want to go back and check that. But yeah, I mean, I'm actually having really fun with this series. And, you know, I hope you guys are having fun too. But yeah, that's going to be it for me, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.